Welcome to Unfiltered and Undecided, where we talk about anything and everything. This week's episode is about regret, relationships, and apparently your fear of death. We're focusing on being able to use the type of person that you want to be at the end or your fear of possibly dying tragically and using that to formulate your relationships and make them intentional, how you treat people, what you're doing with your life, what you're doing with your time. So give us a listen and see if you're like me or like them. I got a question.
What's your question?
How often do you guys think about dying? But not like in a morbid way, like you're going to get hit by a bus and die tomorrow kind of way.
Never.
Isn't that a morbid way?
No, like morbid would be like...
Getting hit by a bus?
No, because that's accidental,
You're
so it's not morbid.
Thinking about harming yourself.
Correct. Not that. But like...
How often do I think about harming myself?
How
No.
often do you think about
Not
dying
in a harm
accidentally?
yourself way.
How often do you think about potentially having a tragic life
There you
incident
go.
where you die, like you fell off the cliff,
I
you
don't
got into
often
the car
think
accident?
about getting hit by a bus.
Do you think... You're not answering my question.
I don't.
I don't
that
think
way.
about it often, no.
Like on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being literally never and a 10 being like
Like, how do you think,
every second of every day?
Like, you think, wow, I could die today? Or what is
Yeah,
your...
okay,
Tell
okay.
me your
Zero-
thoughts. Tell me how you...
I'll answer the question. 0.4 is probably how I would answer that.
and like that's how you've been your whole life?
But
and
what's
it's
the point for? Like,
I'll tell
what
you.
is your thought?
I'm going to explain it to you. When I'm hiking up Yosemite on a very slippery trail, I can think at that moment like, ooh, yeah, God, if I slipped off that, I would die.
Okay, I have those.
Okay.
That's my normal
Situational.
thought. If you're,
In those
if I'm putting
risky
myself...
situations.
But it has to be like a super risky.
But I don't drive down the road thinking, God, I wonder if I'm going to die today.
I think Joel's right. So if I was riding on a roller coaster, I do think that, like, ooh, people have died on a roller coaster before. This could happen to me today, but I guess here we go. Like,
Okay.
I don't even think about it on a roller coaster.
I am
Something
vastly
like
different
that.
from the two of you.
Oh, you think about like the snowboard falling down and hitting you in the head?
I think about dying often, and I feel it's been that way literally since I was a little kid. I would be in the back of the car. My stepdad would be driving. He was drinking at the time, but I remember literally sitting in the back of the car.
Well, that's one of those situations.
Yes,
For
but
him
like it
driving.
carried over. So like I would sit there in the back of the car literally praying like, okay, if I'm going to die, just make sure it's not painful. But now as an adult, I'll be in the car. Sometimes you're driving and there's like all these semis and I'm like, okay, so if we were to get into like a massive collision on the freeway right now, like, and we all died, and I literally think about like who, like, especially if the kids aren't with me, then I'm like, okay, who would take care of the kids? Are the kids going to be okay? Remember when I told you I didn't want to travel without the kids anymore?
Yes.
It was because I had those thoughts when we were in Europe. Like,
Because you want
what
them
if...
to die with you?
No, well, that's a different way to look at it. But like, I was terrified that if we died, there was
Or if
like,
they're with
they
you, you
would
won't
like,
die?
it would traumatize them so much. Like those thoughts flood my mind all
so die
the time.
instead.
Like
or
if,
have them watch you die because they're with you now. That's quite traumatizing.
but in my head, I think about dying all the time.
Well, you're driving, the way you drive definitely speaks to that.
That's rude.
Well, we certainly have different driving styles, and yours is more of a scared driver,
Yes, but
and
you're
mine is
driving
more
is
of
the
a I
one
got
that
somewhere to
scares
go.
me. But it's still that idea. And so because
Cautious.
I have that idea though, that I'm gonna die doing this, or I could die driving to work. Like it constantly makes me think about, okay, how would my kids do? Or like it makes me think of the people in my life.
Gray.
It's starting like right here.
Because
You see
like
it?
I imagine with living that kind of a life, thinking that you're going to die at any moment would be stressful.
I'm surprised we haven't really talked much about this. It's kind of
Well, I do also have
Makes
this
sense.
phrase in my head that I heard from you and your brother a lot, which is just grow thicker skin. So I keep some of them just stifled down because I know
so you're
it's
on the road
ridiculous.
and you're like, oh my God, I might die today. Grow a thicker skin.
Yeah.
My
like,
skin will protect
no,
me.
when I drive to work and it's like super foggy, I'm like, okay, so when I go through this stoplight, it's quite possible that a semi-truck doesn't see me and they just plow into me. Like, do I feel like my kids will be okay? Have they gotten enough from me? It's why I write the letters to them every single year. because I want to make sure that if I die
way.
tragically, that they have everything that I could have given them, like that they don't live the rest of their life in this, like, I wish my mom would have been here to teach me this. So like I literally write them letters.
See, and I'm driving
give them
to
all of
work
it.
in the fog, and I'm thinking, oh, there's going to be some idiots out here getting in a wreck today.
Yeah, and it could be me. That's my point.
Hence the word idiots getting in a wreck today.
That's rude. I'm not saying I'm going to cause it, but you, like drunk drivers, people in the fog, people do dumb things in cars all the time. And the victims weren't necessarily doing anything wrong. They're just a tragic victim of the incident.
Yes, and I trust my ability to be aware.
That doesn't save you.
I know it won't save me all the time, but I don't think about it. A semi blasting through my door.
Okay, but if you did think about it, who would or what? I won't even say who. Maybe it's not a who. What would come to your mind? As like, if I died right this second.
So you've been talking about it this whole time, and I have no idea how people live like that. It's crazy to me. It's so foreign. Although I might be thinking it now. I'm just kidding. So I don't have those thoughts, but I do often. So I'm wondering if it's parallel to what I do think about not dying, being kidnapped,
Okay. Same level,
or someone breaking into my home.
Yeah,
I often think that, or somebody hiding in the back of my car
and murdering you.
Well,
see, it's still dying.
No, because murdering me is putting an end to it. Like, finally, please, if you're gonna kidnap me, kill me, probably, because I don't want to suffer.
How about let me go?
Or that. Or like, I don't want to live through.
It's not real. Have you seen true crime?
I don't want to live through whatever.
Like, I get that, but do you ever think about, like, when you think about being kidnapped or
it doesn't happen as much. It's probably because I watched Law and Order way too much.
Yeah.
The fact that you all think about these dying and kidnapping.
You do too. You keep all kinds of crap. Like you have a freaking baton in your door. Like all kinds of crazy stuff.
That's
like you're way more. I am not as crazy as
the
you
pieces
are.
Of wood
all of our stuff is to keep the boy in the house. At least that's why it started. And now it's because Rachel apparently thinks she's going to die every day.
I've always thought that's why there's that stupid thing in the side of that story to keep people from getting
almost
in.
Like this is what women think about, and men think about the Roman Empire.
I think it's because of the shows I watch. It like plays with your brain. Like I watch Law and Order a lot, and back then is when I thought these things. Now I'm home alone, and so I think now I'm like someone else's. Like I'm responsible for 2 other people. Sorry.
He's called me twice.
I'm responsible for 2 other people now. And so for me, I feel a little bit more of like, okay, I need to be more prepared in the event of. But I don't like drive down the street and think I'm going to get hit by a semi.
But like prepared how? Like prepared like for your kids?
Stop, think, free, or whatever. Freeze, flight, fight. Freeze, flight, fight. And I'm a freezer and I know that. So being more prepared in like a fighting situation. That's what I think about. Not am I gonna die?
Why I have a whole safe full of things to fight with.
Right, but things can happen in 0.4 seconds.
Right, and then you don't have time to get in there. Mm-hmm. But like because I think of those things, I think about like it always leads me to think about, I guess, the people that I am worried about the most. Like for me, it's always my kids. So when I drive to work and it's foggy and I think about getting plowed by the semi, I always end up thinking about, will my kids be okay? Is there anything that they're going to in their future life wish that they had gotten from mom other than time? Like, is there wisdom I should have passed down? Are they going to know that I loved them unconditionally?
I think that's all great. I just don't think that.
So you've never worried about that?
No.
I mean, when I'm in those sticky situations and I might fall off a mountain, then I do think
there's nothing
oh my gosh, my kids, I'm going to miss them. Or
sure.
You know.
Okay, well then what if
you worry about being there to walk your daughter down the aisle and those types of things? Yeah, I think about those when I'm about to fall off a hill.
But what not words of wisdom?
No, not necessarily. Just being there. You
don't ever think about the life lessons that you would have missed teaching your kids?
Well, no, because I don't think I'm going to die. Like I don't think that way. No, I guess I think time's always on my side.
Okay, so let's pretend it's not. Let's pretend it's not. Let's pretend that you tragically died tomorrow.
Oh.
What would you regret?
I don't like pretending like that.
But like, just do it.
Well,
What
that
would
just
you
goes
regret?
back to what we talked about before, and I feel like for the person that died, it's gone, it's done, it stops.
Okay,
It's
what
for the
would you
living.
what would you have wished then that you had more time to ensure was completed?
I wish I wouldn't go to work as much and I would spend more time with the kids.
For what purpose? Just to have time.
Just to have time with them so that they have time to know me better.
Remember,
Okay,
have
so then to
memories.
make sure that they know you as their dad. What about you?
And of course to teach them things that they need to know.
I think lots of life you just learn through living, but I guess I don't know that I have necessarily specific things to teach.
Got to teach them how to cook a tri-tip.
I mean,
that's important.
that's stuff they can learn on their own.
So then,
but having the memory of doing it with you is
Jackson's
different.
like 37 or something and hasn't learned how to cook a tri-tip.
Oh my.
let's talk about the fact that, like, for me, when I think about dying, it causes me to think about my relationships and like, am I gonna wish I had more time to complete something? So let's talk about a relationship where, you know, somebody is struggling in their life, but you can only do so much to help them, but they keep needing more from you. If that person were to die or we were to die, is there anything that we would wish we had done differently?
No, I think if you've done what you could for that person and helped as much as you could for that person, and if it's choices they're making that lead to that, then ultimately you've done what you can do. And I don't think you should have regrets on that.
So if this person were to tragically die, you'd be okay with where you stood in the relationship?
Yes.
I think I would be okay with the efforts that I put in, sure. But I would be maybe disappointed with the fact that it couldn't have ended.
Right.
And of course, I feel like I'm going to think, was there anything else I could do? I just think that if you've exhausted everything, all you can do is hope that they eventually pick it up. And if they don't.
Well, it kind of just goes back to all those podcasts and things from Mel Robbins and Jay Shetty and all the things.
And Big Betty.
At the end of the day, you have to have boundaries.
Right.
And the boundaries don't mean you don't love people less. It just means you understood where you fall in your mental health and what you need as your own self. And that's okay too. Like, you can't take yourself down trying to help someone, but you can be there to support if you are available.
That's why in the airplane, they have you put the mask on yourself before assisting your child.
Yeah.
Because if you pass out while you're putting the child's on, you're no use to anybody.
Right.
So.
And it's not like a selfish thing. It's like a true thing. Like, you have to be able to, and then recognize that when people are healthy for you too.
So what happens when your family isn't healthy for you?
You have the boundaries. You can still support them, but indifferently. I feel like I'm here when you're ready.
It definitely is more challenging if you're talking about your own kids.
Sure.
That's way more challenging.
I couldn't imagine what that would feel like.
Well, but if we're talking about another family member, then I have to protect my kids from that situation.
It's also crazy to think about that you said like kids, because I think about like my mom and her relationship with her children, right? And because I'm apparently neurotic and think about dying so much, and it makes me think about how I am in relationships with
people out there like you.
But it's like my relationship with my mom is so close because I constantly have that thought in my mind, like, if she dies, I want to make sure that I'm okay with where our relationship stood. But that's not the same format for everybody in my family. And like, I think about our own kids growing up and I'm like, is there ever a point where I feel like I could just cut them off, write them off? And I just don't think I can. But people, like parents, do that to their kids. I don't understand that.
No.
And that's where we're getting into a different conversation, I think, on like what subjects and things that people take so seriously in their life that split if you have opposing viewpoints on something.
Right.
Like politics, for instance.
Right. Politics, religion, and money. Those are the things you're supposed to avoid, right?
They literally, some people go so hardcore on those things that they will take their side of the political aisle over their family member. or over their relationships. And in my mind, it's like, you got one life to live. It's insane to me that people choose politics that they have no control over and what's going on. Yes, we all get a vote. I know that. In California, some people on the conservative
vote.
side doesn't really matter much. And it might be a long time till that happens. But the point is, those things, even religion, it's like, it's okay to have differing opinions, and it's okay to have healthy debates, and it's okay, but that should never come between how you feel and your love for somebody else.
But then those people
Ridiculous.
who say like you only have one life, they use that same phrase to explain, I only have this one life. Why am I wasting it hanging out with this person, family or not, that like I just don't agree with?
Because there's so much more to life than politics. You can agree on travel. You
Unless
can agree on
unless that person's
hobbies.
bringing you down,
Yeah.
like, it's okay to have differing opinions as long as they're not like dragging my life down.
Well, but I think that's where people who get too heavy and maybe don't think about like that end game too much is like their whole life is this political base or religious base. And if you disagree with them, then you literally are bringing them down because you disagree with them and they think that, you know, that person who disagrees with them is going to ruin their life.
And for me, that's sad if your whole life is that.
Well,
that's a sad thing for
yeah,
that person.
Sure. Well, I think that's where you leave it to be indifferent because that's just their choice and that's not yours.
Yeah, let them.
And then you let them.
So how did you get to that point then? I got to that point because I think about death way too much. But it seems like you guys also got to that point where you're like, my relationships with people are more important. And so you're trying not to judge or isolate people just because they feel or think
well, and
differently.
I'm not saying there aren't times where, because I can get politically charged or something every now and again, and I'm not saying there's not times where I'm like, that person is a damn moron, but they're someone I love still. But sometimes they piss me off, they frustrate me, and I want to just But in the end, I think about it and I'm like, you know what, that they're allowed to have their opinion.
But
they could frustrate me.
How'd you get there?
With my brain.
Well,
because
going back to the kids part real quick is just in general. You said you couldn't understand someone who doesn't have the same ideas, but my kids are more important than anything else for me. And then that goes back to the Mel Robbins podcast. So she had a vulnerable podcast about, I don't think it was her book, where she mentioned how she wasn't a great mom.
Yeah.
And she mentioned about how she brought up something that I could identify with so much. She talked about her son. He had a lot of health issues. And there was a moment in time where they were in public and he would say he had to throw up. Did you hear that one?
Yeah.
And she was so irritated, annoyed, and frustrated by him needing to throw up because she thought it was like just fake or he could control it and he didn't or whatever. And she would let that get to her and bother her rather than be that safe person for him, like as she should have been as a parent. Like, if you're annoyed and frustrated with something that he couldn't control, or maybe he could but needed an outlet or something, I don't know. I definitely feel like I see that with Quinn, like when the
throw up part for sure.
Throw up part, or just something where I'm just like, what is happening? When I think it's something she can control, but it really checked me hearing that. Like, so going back to that. So being a parent, like you are supposed to be their safe person, like that they can trust, to lean on, to be unconditional.
Right.
And so for me, no, I don't get how you can sever ties with your children when it's supposed to be unconditional.
I hope your solution for Quinn isn't just to let her throw up everywhere.
No, but being maybe more calm and like understanding and supportive.
Teach her that there's a bucket or a bag.
Yeah.
Not a seat or
I'm just reflecting on a time when I was trying to get her to take medicine and she thought it was gross and I was so frustrated that she
I remember those times.
She wouldn't take the medicine because it was gross.
Yep.
And it is gross, and I know that. But I was more mad with her for being grossed out by the taste than like being supportive and saying it is gross, or front loading her. This is gonna be gross or something. But instead I was like,
well, and that goes into that idea of like with your kids, you want them to want the things that they need right? She needed the medicine, so you wanted her to just understand and want it, and you knew she needed it, so you were like, you're getting this medicine.
Yeah.
But in her mind,
It was really gross.
it was really gross. She didn't understand, but it's like you want these people in your life, not just your kids, but your siblings or your friends that, you know, become your family. You want them to want the things that you know that they need. And when they don't, it is so frustrating. What?
Just reminded me of, I think it's on a movie. I want you to want to do the dishes.
Just Friends. Jennifer.
No, not Just Friends. It's
Just
the breakup.
Oh, that's
I
right.
want you to want to do. Nobody wants to want
Oh, yeah,
to do
Vince
the
Vaughn.
dishes.
Yeah.
Of course, Vince
I
Vaughn,
want you to
Jennifer
want to
Aniston.
do the dishes. Well, nobody wants to do the damn dishes.
Yeah.
But yeah, with
I
that.
just want, when I ask for lemons, I want 12 lemons, not 3. Yes, it's a great movie for sure.
I haven't seen
The
it
Breakup.
in years. If it's the breakup, then I
It's
probably have
The
only seen it
Breakup.
once. But that line stood out to me
Yeah, because
because somebody wants me to want to do the dishes.
I don't want you to want to do the dishes because nobody wants to do the dishes. That's right.
Gary, I think.
I want you to want to take some of the workload off of my plate so it seems more balanced is what that statement really is saying.
I want you to want to do the dishes.
So I don't know that I have things that I think that I want my kids to know, but if I were to die, but more importantly, that they know how much they're supported by me. Like I love them. I support them.
Right. Well, I guess, and it doesn't really have to come from like death. That's just where it is for me. Like knowing that and having that, like, okay, if I die, what am I going to want this person to like at my funeral? I want to make sure that they don't have regrets, I guess. Like, I don't want them to think, oh, she never told me this, or she was such a beast about this, or like, I don't want at my funeral, which I guess is what I think about, which honestly, I think also comes from the 7 Habits, because
I was just going to say, it's supposed to, that is, it's 80th birthday. Mm-hmm.
And like, I want
your
them
80th
to
birthday,
feel,
what do you want people to say about
and
it?
I want them to feel that I like genuinely cared about who they were, or supported them, or loved them. And because that's like constantly just sitting
You're
here.
supposed to picture your 80th birthday, just so we can bring you up to speed. Picture your 80th birthday.
Oh, I know the
Who's
7
there?
Habits.
I know, but
this
there's
is
like
the
a whole
story.
video about it. I know you know
Close
this.
your
heard
eyes.
this before.
Close your eyes.
Picture
Close them.
80th
Close your
birthday.
eyes.
Your eyes
Every
are still
now
open.
and then I
Hey,
get
you're
a
80.
little bit.
You're decrepit.
I feel that way.
In
I
a
hope
wheelchair.
not. You're not, because you're listening to Mel Robbins
right.
and all
You're
of
healthy.
the tips and tricks to
You're
stay
healthy.
strong.
That was
Wait,
a low
80?
blow.
I'm probably
80.
dead by then.
No, you're alive
Oh, if
and
you're
living.
Rachel.
And everybody's
You think
there
you're dead.
to
I'll
say
be dead
happy
tomorrow.
birthday to you, but also say their goodbyes because they could die at any moment. What do you hope they're saying about you at your 80th birthday?
That man can drink.
And who's there?
Well, I'm hoping my kids are there.
Boeing's there.
I'm hoping you're there.
Yeah. And what
I don't know if my friends will be there because I plan to live longer than them, so they're
But,
probably already
like,
dead.
80.
What do you want people to feel about you? What do you want them to say about you at
What's
that time?
your
Or
legacy?
imagine you're at your funeral. Like, what are they saying about you?
Well, I don't want a funeral, first of all, so that's a bad question for me.
You're
But
killing me.
fun. I want them to say that I was fun, enjoyable, and a great, fun person to be around.
What do you want them to say?
And taught them all about the world and how to travel and
How to Travel on Points by Joel.
that I was honest and trustworthy.
For me, I think I would hope that I'm remembered for cheering other people on and encouraging others and being there, supporting.
And flip-flop fights.
Yeah.
I'll remember that one.
Yeah, I think it's just important to me that, so for me, my biggest lesson for myself in this lifetime is to teach my kids not how to be kind, but my new thing is that positive intent. So by being able to have that legacy of like, I feel like dad was like that, like constantly trying to teach the positive lessons. So I hope that I'm remembered as being positive.
And do you guys feel like you use that vision that you just said to like help
my
you
life
lead
now.
your decisions in your life now with
Yes,
like
'cause
other
I'm
people?
fun.
I try, but
try
it's
to be fun.
hard.
And I think I'm pretty fun.
I try, but it's hard. I'm trying not, like, I'm working all that on, like, negativity. Negativity brings you down.
Kids will
All
learn though just
negativity.
through your modeling of
Well,
it.
I know, but for me, as like for my modeling, if you really go through your whole day, I tallied at one time like how many negative thoughts you have. And
Really?
negative thoughts can be
You
like,
guys think of the weirdest.
No, I think that's actually really cool.
well, it's
I
negative
bet you
thoughts.
do. I want to die every day.
Well, not even like the negative thoughts can be like, ooh, her shirt's ugly.
yeah.
It's a negative,
anything.
like that's a negative thing.
Yeah, but if it's an ugly shirt,
How many
it's
did
okay
you
to
have?
think that.
I literally got to like 30
I
at a
think
certain
people have
time,
ugly
and I was like,
shirts all
this
the
is
time.
ridiculous. And I stopped because that was enough for me.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, she's annoying.
Yeah.
Or something. Like that's a negative thought.
I
So
think
then
it's
what'd you do with that
positive
information?
thought.
So I recognized how negative my life was on that day. That was not a bad day either,
Right,
mind
right.
you. It was a fine, normal day for me. But then so it takes extra work to have that positive intent
Mhm.
and think like it doesn't matter if her shirt's ugly, and I don't need to think it because it's like her shirt. It's not my shirt. What does it matter to me?
Mhm.
But
But it's saying it to someone else. It would be like me saying, Rachel Joel's shirt is ugly.
Right.
Like I can think it. I didn't tell you that. It was like when I said it. Because then
Did you
it comes
say it to someone?
yes. Then it comes to life.
well,
Yeah.
why would you say it to someone? That's a little weird.
Well, I don't know.
So did you tell
I
it how many
did.
That I
times?
don't really do.
So
Or
did you
like,
tell it how many times it came
gosh,
to your
she's
mind
so
or say
annoying.
that?
Like if I was like, man, Patty's so annoying. And I said that to you right now.
I'd say,
Like,
yeah, you're
that's
probably right.
negative.
Right.
And that is like something that not only am I saying something that's negative, now I'm telling you something negative.
Yeah,
Right.
you're
So now I'm
spreading.
affecting you. Yes. And it could be that simple where maybe she is annoying me today. And that's fine. And I can internalize and process that through my own brain, but it's saying it to other people that is
Right.
where the fault is. And it's actually, if you tell yourself, it's actually probably higher than you think. Because I didn't think I was that negative of a person.
Well, they don't make tally marks as high as mine would go in my brain.
No, I know. I said brain doesn't count.
Because the
I think
human
everyone has
population
thought.
is
Well,
full of stupid people.
well,
and
and
it drives
everyone
me
has a
nuts.
thought. You can't like.
You can't always
Not
control it. Comes
think-
into
We
your
know
mind.
you have intrusive thoughts. We know this.
Yes.
Yeah.
You do. Have
Yeah.
intrusive thoughts.
But it's when you like spread the negativity and how easy
Yeah.
it is, and then how people latch onto it too.
Yes.
And
Because
it's really bad.
Because people find it fun. That's why people latch on to it.
Right.
But why? But why do humans find that
Yes.
fun? Like, why do
Think
we
of
find
what-
it fun to
think
tear
of-
others
It's
down?
easy. It's easy
It is easy, but
But it
think
shouldn't
of-
be fun.
Well, and it makes you feel better.
It shouldn't, though.
But it
because
should.
we laugh
No,
on
it
it.
shouldn't.
Why did
think
I
of-
say so and so's shirt was ugly? Because we laughed on it.
Think of the
It's
humor.
not funny though. It's stupid.
Think of comedy movies.
Yeah, it's all negative.
It's funny.
But,
But
why?
it's all negative, yeah.
Because it's funny that people can be so
We don't
stupid to
know.
wake up and look in the mirror and say, that shirt looks good on me. And then you're like,
Ooh.
But maybe also they just don't care about what they're presenting to the world and they just have a different mindset.
good. And I have a mindset of, wow, you should probably care about what you're presenting to the world.
I don't know.
I don't know. Listen to Matt Rife.
So that's
He's
something
the best
that
at it.
If you change your thoughts. So who Dalai Lama. That's who it was, right? The Dalai Lama's
I thought you were about to say Dolly Parton.
the
What
Dalai
is
Lama's
happening?
greatest statement to me is if you can help somebody, help them, but if you can't, don't hurt them.
Mhm.
Simply don't talk negatively. If somebody is struggling
Think
in their
it and
life,
walk away.
well, if somebody is struggling in their life, and this is something that I know I'm really working on. It's really hard. You can have all your thoughts and opinions about the struggle, but that's not helpful. So if you can't support them or help them because you have boundaries or what have you,
Right.
then don't hurt them. As in, don't talk about it.
Because the helping of people is also really hard.
It can
Like, there's
be.
some people I can think of that need help, but I'm not sure how I could go about doing it. But
Oh,
I know I
yeah.
haven't done my fair share in that relationship. And like, if they were to die, I would feel totally guilty about it. Like, I'm sure I could help them, but it would cost other relationships. And I think that's where, I don't know where the line is with like your statement with Dolly Parton. I don't
Dalai Lama.
know. Dolly.
The Dalai Lama.
You put that in my brain.
That was perfect. Boom. You're welcome, everybody. Come on, Dolly Parton.
Sorry, Dolly Parton, you didn't say that.
You've said some really great things. It just wasn't one of them.
That wasn't it.
One's a
If
dolly,
you
the
don't like the
other's a
road you're
dolly.
on, take a different one. She said that. There you go.
You don't like the road you're on, take a different one. If it's that simple.
if it was that simple. But like, what do you do there in that gray area? It goes back to like the regret. It would be a huge regret. That person dies. I didn't do my part.
I think you
And
do
then I
what you
just live
want.
with it.
I don't think you should live. That's like the whole message of the let them theory, I think, is that we literally live for other people's reactions. I say you do what you want and then let people have their reactions.
But that's not as easily done as said.
If you're confident in your decision and knowing that it makes you happy, I think so. It's hard. It can be hard, but I think you have to, they have to let you be who you want to be. And if they don't love you for that, then that's on them. Unless it's about me. Is that something I'm not?
No,
You know,
like I am thinking
I'm kinda lost
family, and
on
it
your-
could literally like I'm thinking of family.
I
I'm
don't
lost
know
on
who
your
she's talking
conversation because I'm trying to figure out who you're talking
I
about.
don't know what she's talking about, but it
I'm
doesn't
talking
matter.
about an elderly woman in my life,
Oh,
and if I were to help
Oh.
her in the way that I could see, it would literally
I'm following
ruin
now.
other relationships. And I don't know where the line is, but I do know that if she were to die, I would
I
feel
see.
horrible
Yes.
about doing nothing.
I see. But also that also circles back down to you can give someone the tools, a toolbox full of tools, and it's up to them to
Tools.
use them too.
Correct.
We can't force change.
Yeah. If you give her a hammer and she picks up a rock instead to hit her nail in, that's
You know, like you
you
gotta,
kind of on
I
her.
think it comes back to that. Like, are you supporting the way you can right now?
Well, and I guess that's the question I ask myself is like, do I feel like I have? Do I feel like I have done what I can do in that situation? And I'm not sure that I have, because I feel like if I do what I can do, it's going to cause a problem. And I don't want to do that either. So that's where my conundrum is. But like, that just goes back to that whole thing of like, thinking about what people are going to say at your funeral, or what you're hoping the types of relationships you have when you're 80, or what you're hoping your life was and
a
the
weird
things that you
question for me.
did.
Well, the problem with the way that I want to live my life is if you don't have someone who has the emotional intelligence, or that they haven't worked on themselves, or they don't have the empathy, if they don't have those things already in their own characteristics,
In their toolbox.
in their
Mhm.
toolbox, then they're not going to receive
Mhm.
your message as well.
Right.
They're not going to be on your same wavelength. They can't meet you there. And that's where the friction lies. But then
Right.
that's where you have to like let that be their problem. Because I still stand by, if you are feeling confident and true to what you're doing
Right.
and who you are, and it's right with you, then you have to let it go.
That's all you can do.
It doesn't make it easy. But
No. So how does the general person, I guess, get to the place where they lead their life with the end in mind? Let's go back to that.
So I was
habit.
actually talking to my principal about this, because I was telling her about my API, assume positive intent, and how most people, and we talked about this before, and I don't know if it was a recorded episode or not. People judge other people based on their actions, when we judge ourselves on our intention.
Yes. I think that was one of the episodes that didn't record
Okay.
correctly.
So that is a huge piece. So if Joel did something rude, I would immediately judge him on how he treated me, rather than Joel might say, well, I didn't intend to be rude or do whatever.
Right.
So actions versus intentions. We are way more graceful with ourselves when we're judging ourselves, and less graceful with other people. So if you judged everyone on their intentions, life would be so much different. And I was telling my principal about that, and she's like, Janae, I think you should talk about that to the
School.
people. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not qualified for that. And either way, you have to be in the mindset to receive it.
Mhm.
If you are not there,
Yeah.
you're going to make fun of it. You're
Yeah.
like,
Oh, 100%.
she wants me to do what?
Yeah.
Right? You're going to make fun of it, or whatever. If you're not in the mindset to truly understand and receive it,
Right.
you're not going to. And so for the average person out there, unless they're ready to receive change and like want more and understand that nobody's perfect and want to be a better person genuinely and do the work, then
Right.
you'll know.
Well, everybody's different on where what's their boundary lines
Sure.
are and things
Yeah.
like that when they're helping family or whoever. Everybody's going to have different amounts they can put in or amounts they can do without crossing boundaries.
Right.
And so it's going to look different for everybody. So it's really hard to say where.
Not like where to start, but I guess, or what to do, but like how do you get to the point where you know what type of person I guess you want to be?
Well, I think a lot of people, it comes through experiences in life. Like, I've always kind of been on the moral ground of things. Like, I think helping people and doing that has just naturally been who I am. However, life changes catapulted me into more of wanting to be a better person.
Right. How do you think people will figure it out? Like what they want, what type of person they want to be at the end. Remembered as, what type of person they want to be remembered as, and then like how to use that intention
I don't
to
know, what do you
make
think?
their decisions.
You keep asking questions and you're not answering.
This is the question asking chair.
Fair.
Well-
I didn't even recognize that until this moment.
Start talking. You're
I-
on the hot seat now.
I think what helped me get to that place was like imagining myself at the 80th birthday party, but also the
That
fact that I
too.
constantly think about death, and it reminds me of
It's kind
the
of morbid.
relationships that it is kind of morbid, but it also has to do with how I grew up. So it's fine. It's just part of my life, I think. But like, I think those things and then experiencing, and I don't know, I feel like I've naturally been a reflective person. So like recognizing that I don't want people to talk about me like I've heard them talk about so-and-so. And that has all had like effects on how I try and lead my life. But I think starting with that vision of your 80th birthday party is a great starting point to figure
Well,
out
and
how
actually,
you
now
want to
that
be.
you say that, I think motivational speakers, like if you're moved by them, then like you're one of those people that probably could be moved easily into.
You're in a place where your mind is ready
Right.
to accept it.
And
Right.
when we did that Leader in Me training,
Mhm.
like I wasn't in any catastrophe or my life hadn't changed much then, but it was like still very
Right.
moving for me, and I like really like struck a chord for my personal life, not just what they were trying to do in professional life.
Right.
So I think it just really what speaks to you, and then going from there.
Well, and here's a message, I guess, for everybody who is not into
Motivational
motivational or
Self-help, but-
self-development, those types of things. I started it many years ago, just listening to it while I drove, because I had a job where I was driving all day long,
Mhm.
delivering stuff. And I listened to, that's kind of when I first got into it. And I was listening to it, and I was like, the more I listened to, whether it be 7 Habits or
Right.
other books like that, I just kept thinking, oh my gosh, this is powerful. My mind, I could feel my mind changing. And I would talk to people constantly when I was over at friends' places, and I'd try to share these ideas and all this stuff that was. And so for people who think that that's not for them, maybe give it a try. Have a beer, sit down, put an earphone in, and give it a go.
Yeah.
Or while you're driving, just give it a few minutes here and there a day, because maybe not every book is going to be life-changing for you. And trust me, there's some dumb ones out there. I won't say any, but there are some amazing ones that I think everybody should give it a try, because, you know, you think it's not for you. And I didn't think it was for me. And I was like, holy Moses.
It's good.
And now I still, to this day, listen to them pretty frequently.
Well, I think that's an important point that you made, though, too. Like, your brain literally changes with what you're consuming. So people who maybe at one point in their life didn't care about politics, but then they started listening to it all the time, all of a sudden their brain has changed. That's all they think or care about. Same thing with religion. What?
I'm just saying your brain does change with what you consume. You are correct.
That's not what I meant. But the
I
more
know,
you
I'm just
consume a particular
clever.
thing,
But
the
it's
more
like
you're
constant
gonna
work, though.
Yeah.
'Cause I think we naturally are negative. Well, I think just with what's naturally around us.
Well, isn't that why people go to church like at least once a week, those who do, because it like re-motivates them to continue to try and be the good humans for the following week. And if you stop going, then you essentially stop. I don't know.
Church could be a real topic for a future episode. I have a lot I could say on different parts of that.
Sure.
Yeah, like I sometimes get out of the habit. I'm an avid podcast listener all the time, but I'll catch myself. Like I think yesterday.
Can the audience please silence your phones? Thank you.
I
need one of the
I
signs.
didn't listen to it at all. I didn't listen to any of my podcasts yesterday, which is rare. I
Yeah.
always do, even if I'm just going to bed. And I caught myself kind of having all my rude thoughts or negative thoughts or whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go back to my podcast.
Well, think
to,
about-
like, re-change.
Like Jay Shetty, right? He's literally a guru
Betty.
in this mindset world
what
at the
you're gonna
moment,
say
right? But he has all those positive
Mhm.
APIs, positive intent messages all
Yeah.
over his house
Yeah.
because our brains literally need a constant reminder of what that person is that we're trying to be.
'Cause we wanna go back
Otherwise,
to
we will
comfort.
revert back to our comfort, which sadly for humans seems to be kind of like real assholes.
Well, it's because of what we're exposed to. And again, I don't know what episode that was.
That's right.
on, but
Monks probably aren't real assholes.
well,
But their whole life is
meditation.
in reflection.
I'm just saying, it's what we're exposed to. It's what our life is.
Well,
It's
it
the
is.
rat race
Well, they
we live
said
in.
we watch.
We all become
again,
rats.
Like the reality shows, we start
Mhm.
thinking that's normal
Yeah.
behavior, and it's just so not normal
Don't watch
behavior.
that shit.
No, but even the
Well, think
dramatized
about-
shows.
Think about a
that's not
fight at
normal
Chuck
either.
E. Cheese, like that fight that was going around. Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's
The
entertaining.
fight. Everyone probably got so many views,
So
but it's
stupid.
horrible.
I almost feel like we could stage a fight
No.
in Chuck E. Cheese just
No.
so we can get views.
Oh my
No.
God.
That goes off to that's
That
like
goes
the
back
whole
to trauma. as a
That was a
kid.
joke, guys. Relax.
Takes me back to
Chill.
when
I'm
I was
not
at
in it. I'm
John's
not in it to win it.
Incredible.
Joel.
Chill.
Said John's Incredible, and there was a fight that broke out when I was there. I was so
Why is it
terrified for my
always the
kids. I didn't
kids'
think I
pizza
was going to
places?
die. I didn't think I was going to die even then,
Maybe there's a trend
but I
in
was scared for my kids.
children's pizza and game places.
Wow.
No. Death does come to my mind a lot. It comes to my mind when I drive when it's foggy. It comes to my mind when I'm at work sometimes because of the rise in school shootings. It comes to my mind when we're on the freeway and we go on a long trip. It comes to my mind when we're on an airplane. I always pray when I get on the airplane just to not let it crash. It comes to my mind when I'm on a cruise ship. Like, it comes to my mind so much, it's actually baffling to me that it does not come to your minds, which lets me know that apparently I have some real morbid thoughts happening.
You think of school shootings while you're at work?
I think of them happening in like,
See,
Yeah.
I have, but I also don't think I'm dying. It goes back to like the breaking of my house. I think, okay, fight, freeze. I'm in charge of all these kids. What am I gonna do? What's gonna be my
Right.
plan of action? I don't think I'm gonna die.
but because of that, I know that it's like teacher first in order to protect the kids.
Sure.
And so because of that, I am thinking of dying. It's
Right.
like, you've got to make sure that those kids get inside. You've got to make sure that the
I-
doors are barricaded.
I
Those
just
bullets
assume
go
I'm
through the
living.
walls.
See, and I think that's the wrong way to look at it because you just said, I'm thinking of dying. And I'm like, I'm thinking of winning and
Yeah,
killing this
that's what I'm
killer.
saying.
But
I
that's
don't-
not going to happen
Why not?
because I'm like
With that
5'2"
attitude-
against somebody with a
With that-
gun. That's
With
not
that
gonna happen.
attitude, you're going to be the first one shot.
Well, thank you for validating my thought process.
You're welcome. And I will be here championing, standing like Captain Morgan on the dude's body.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, like, come on.
You have to have some in your training process of what I'm going to do. Your
Yes.
process can't be die.
No, it's not. It's not.
That's not going to help anyone.
But you have to, for me, I have to think, okay.
Okay, what am I going to do?
no,
Die.
It's
See?
not about
Plan of
being
action.
afraid of dying, though. It's about being okay with dying. Like,
Oh, I'm okay with
if
dying,
this
too.
situation happens
think it's
and I
gonna happen.
die, I'm okay because I know my relationships are in play. I know
I'm
my
not
kids will
okay
be okay.
to die.
My friends will be okay. And I think that's
My-
why I keep
For
thinking
as long
about
as
death.
my kids are on this earth, I am not okay to die.
Well, like, yes, I don't want to, but I think that's what
Mhm.
keeps me like so active in certain things that I'm doing is because it's like, okay, I need to be okay with if I die, knowing that I think my important
Yes.
relationships are going to be okay and it's not going to like ruin them, specifically my kids, forever.
Would I sacrifice my life to save a bunch of kids at school? Of course. That's what you're talking about.
I'm talking about death in general, but in the school
You're
shooting
always
one,
talking
yes.
and thinking about death in
But
general. it
at
sounds
the
like.
school shooting one, yes, it's like, okay, so then I'm at the door with the fire extinguisher ready if they happen up breaking into
You're
the
telling
door.
me
But
that
then
all the
kids
bad
are-
guys you're
But
playing.
then the kids are plans. So then, like, who gets shot first if I miss with the fire
They know
extinguisher?
your
well,
plan.
it's me. That's okay.
Die.
There's also been like research that nobody has ever made it through a locked door. So if your door is locked,
Guys, I'm going to have my fire extinguisher and then I'm going to
Marjorie
die.
Stoneman Douglas, they just banged out the glass and went and shot into the classroom because they broke
there's
the
no
glass.
glass in mine.
There's no glass
Sorry.
in mine either.
You can just slide my window right open. It doesn't shut.
Even better. It's great. It's great.
Which is why I have a plan in action.
Hey, I have one of those room window air conditioners in my window.
That's basically
And
ours.
basically, you just,
Yep, same. Do you
I'm
many,
coming on in.
how many times I try to lock that window?
Good thing I'm in an
I have a
office
lot
and
of
there's nobody to
intruders.
shoot in there but me.
Well,
And they probably don't, maybe they do want to shoot me.
I don't know.
I don't think about it though.
Well,
And part of my plan is not dying.
it's not part of my plan. It's being okay with
Yes.
dying because I've used that fear of death, I guess, to make sure my relationships are what I believe to be solid so that at my funeral, they're not saying she was a terrible human or
That's not what
didn't
you were
give
gonna
me
say.
enough. Well, no, I wasn't. I'm filtering so I don't have
This
to
is
filter later.
unfiltered. No editing. This is unfiltered and unforgotten or something like that.
Not that.
That's the name.
I'm
Not
not telling
that.
you. I can't help you.
Unfiltered and unfettered.
No. Unfiltered.
Unforgettable.
Now. You got it.
Unforgettable.
I know you know it.
We should do that
Undecided?
question.
I
Thank
didn't know
you.
it till right now.
Like
Figure out who you want to be
So
when
good.
you're on your deathbed and then go make your life choices based on that, I guess.
Are you
There's the
patting me
lesson.
because
Yes,
this
I'm
is who
trying
they
to
wanna
get you
be?
Or
there.
just be, yeah. Figure out what kind of life you want to live and then lead it.
And check out self-development.
And
It's
Viktor
pretty cool.
Frankl's
And
Man Search for
unforgettable.
Meaning.
Man search for meeting.
Meeting.
Meaning.
Meeting.
Thanks for listening to Unfiltered and Undecided. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a good laugh or a good cry.